Hello everyone and welcome back to the AOR PS4 Season 12 Championship. Just 5 races remain this season and today we are at the legendary Suzuka circuit. My name is Shane and joining me back in the commentary box once again is Dan.
Yeah, it's great to be back, Shane, as this season draws to its conclusion, where last time out Alex took his 3rd win in a row, the first time any driver has done that all season, and that could be the most significant, as he was able to take the championship lead for the first time since Australia. Suzuka usually provides a great race with its fast sweeping corners, long straights and good overtaking opportunities, but first, it's time for the qualifying hole.
Here we are for the qualifying comparison at Suzuka circuit in Japan for round 17 of the AOR PS4 F1 League, and this time we got Thorn and Clarky being kind enough to give us a look through their quali laps for this race. Dry and sunny conditions, as you can see, which means I can carry a lot of speed down into turn 1, throwing the car in there and then braking gradually while turning towards the second apex, and then getting nice and early on the throttle out of turn 2. A lot of precision required through the next few corners, as these are the S's at Suzuka. A lot of fun to drive this car through here, although it can be a little bit frustrating as well if your car feels like understeering a little bit too much for your liking. But both these drivers seemingly taking a very solid line through these corners and then carrying a good amount of speed up the hill through Dunlop curve and then down the hill again into the Degners. And you can see that Thorn is marginally ahead so far, throwing the car into turn 8 with the downshift and then all the way down to second gear for turn 9 to get the car turned in nicely. Back up through the gears again, a little flick right before the braking zone for the hairpin, the slowest corner on the track, and both of them choosing to go all the way down to first gear for this one, keeping it nice and tight through the corner to then straighten up on the exit in the traction zone, as they now have time for a little breather while mentally preparing themselves for the spoon curve. Another one where you have to throw the car in at pretty high speed, 4th gear for Thorn, 5th for Clarky on the first part, and then both of them going all the way down to 3rd gear for the exit onto the back straight. It can be a little bit bumpy there on the exit, so it's important to control the throttle nicely, especially as we now have a long flat out section and Thorn is still very marginally ahead. And now then, the famous 130R in these cars and these conditions, easily flat out. Moving the car over to the left for the braking zone for the Casio triangle, the chicane. Both of the drivers being a little bit greedy on the first curb, and then avoiding the outside curb in the traction zone, getting a good run towards the line, briefly opening the DRS. And there we have it, Thorn P3, Clarky P6.
So one of the closest qualifying sessions this season, it was Nervo Tank to take yet another pole, this time by 100th ahead of Aresi in Ferrari. Thorn will line up in P3, only 52 thousandths on pole, with Alex, the championship protagonist, lining up in 4th. Kian was 5th, with Clarky rounding out the 3rd row, with Big Shot and Ali in 7th and 8th respectively, with the top 8 covered by just over 2/10. It was B Colt and Super Scuff to round out the top 10, with Demon being the first driver to have 3 choice of tyres heading into the race. NBA Room will complete the 6th row with RBOS and Jamie 995 13th and 14th, with Theo 15th and Jake 16th. Jonas and Big C were the last of the drivers to set a time, with BMU not able to set a time in qualifying. And now it's time for the race.
It's a gorgeous day here in Japan for round 17 of the season. The sun is out, no clouds to be seen, and a new championship leader in Alex in 4th on the grid, but his main rival Nervo Tank is sitting on pole, eager to take back that championship lead.
Yeah, it's a very similar story here because Nervo Tank has got pole position once again, but as we saw last time out, he was his own worst enemy back in Malaysia, getting a drive-through penalty, costing himself the definite race victory there, so he was looking to avoid similar mistakes here today. And if he does that, then he should be able to have a good chance of winning this race. We definitely know he's got the pace. But this man, Aresi, just behind him, also has got very good pace, only 100th behind in qualifying, so this is going to be a very interesting race.
And Thorn here in 3rd place, just a half a tenth behind Nervo in qualifying as well. I'm pretty sure that is the closest qualifying we have had this season, the top 8 covered by less than a quarter of a second. And that's not a lot in Formula 1, so yeah, we've got a fantastic race ahead of us if that pace is to be converted in race pace. And all of the top 10, as you can see, starting on the soft tyre, the softest tyre we have available here this afternoon, and the hards are going to be the mandatory tyre, just like Malaysia last time out. So everyone's going to have to switch onto the hard tyres at some point in the race, but the question is how many stops will they make to get onto those hard tyres?
Yeah, I think if you're starting within the top 10, you'll be probably looking at a 2-stop. But for those starting outside the top 10, such as GR Dream and NBA Ruben, we're on board with here, then they can go for that 1-stop. NBA Ruben starting on the medium tyre, whereas a lot of the drivers around him seem themselves on the hard compound tyre. But yeah, these guys will be looking to make that 1-stop work, going from hard to medium or medium to hard if you're NBA Ruben. On board with B-Colt, obviously more heartache for him last time out in Malaysia, and he's in P9 today, so he's not actually in an ideal spot considering he's probably on an unpreferred strategy. But as the drivers head through the final sequence of corners through the final chicane, we are getting ready for the start of this Japanese Grand Prix.
Yep, Novo comes down that slope then to form up on the grid, and rather making some erratic changes of direction, which I believe is just the AI doing some weird, strange things as the cars all form up into their grid slots then. So it's around 17 of the season, just 5 races to go, 125 points just left, and it's 7 points between the top 2 in the championship. We've got the 5 red lights coming on now. The lights are out and away we go for the Japanese Grand Prix. Novo's got off the line pretty well. He's already going to right hand side to cover off Aresi into turn 1. He swoops into turn 1, still in the lead, but M-Thorn's got around Aresi around the outside of turn 1 and to turn 2. Can he hold it on the exit though? They're now side by side going up into the S's, and Aresi's going around the outside of Thorn, and that is Aresi back into second place. Well defended and well held by the Ferrari driver, but he's now lagging all over the place, and that's put M-Thorn off, and he's now in the gravel trap. That's going to put him way back down, and he might have dropped out of the top 10 with that, and that's very unfortunate for M-Thorn. But that's helped Alex get up into third, and then it's Kian, which is kind of, aside from the Nova tank, that's Alex's worst nightmares. Kian will try and do everything possible to help Novo in the championship, but Novo looks like he's got away scot-free up at the front, and is already putting out a big gap over the rest of the guys.
Yeah, this is worrying for the rest of the field, because once Nervo gets into a lead, which he can manage, this is where he's at his very best. He just able to pull away. So Alex currently in P3, right behind Resi. It's imperative for him to get past the Ferrari as quickly as possible, and then try and punt down the Renault driver and put him under some sort of pressure as we head down towards 130 yard for the first time on board of M4 after his incident in the first sector with Aresi, and he's going to the outside of 2 cars here towards 130 yard. This is brilliant, round the outside, slightly off the track there, but I think he had the move done before the corner anyway, so I don't think the stewards will have anything to say about that. On board now of NBA Ruben, who is all over the back of Super Scrub as we head through this very difficult traction zone. NBA Ruben slightly losing it, but nevertheless he's into the slipstream of the Force India, trying to go to the outside, but does not seem to have enough an advantage, and that will mean the Force India will be able to keep the pace in towards turn 2.
Yeah, NBA Ruben's had a great start. He was 12th on the grid, is already up into the top 10, and Super Scrub has also jumped up 2 places, and I think M-Thorn was the big loser off the start, as Super Scrub appears to be lagging slightly as well. Hopefully that's not too big a problem. Hopefully that just was that one spike of lag, but he's put himself out of position now through Dunlop up towards the first Degner, and that's NBA Ruben through Thorns trying to follow through around the outside of the first Degner off the track once again. And now there's a little bit of contact with the Force India on the right hand side, and he is now back up into 9th place, and M-Thorn drops back down to 10th. B-Colt, as we just saw there on the onboard shot, was right behind, so he's dropped out of the top 10, so it's not been a good start for the Manor driver, and I believe that's still right up behind him now, and M-Thorn now trying to get back past the Force India Super Scrub, who had such a great performance back in Monza, and struggled ever since then as he goes wide through Spoon Curve, and is now back down to 10th place and under threat from the Manor of B-Colt.
Yeah, as the Force India gets into the slipstream of the Haas, but the Haas will have the inside line, and they're going side by side through here, but the Haas driver able to defend that, and that puts the Force India under pressure from B-Colt in the Manor. But the Force India has the inside line. B-Colt holding it round the outside. Great driving from the pair of them. And now it's just a traction race as Kian is trying to get past the Red Bull of Alex. And this is the worst nightmare for the Red Bull driver, because Kian has now put a further driver between Nervo and Alex. A very good move there from the Renault driver. Again, it stopped nicely for turn 1. But yeah, Alex down to P4, and in this stage of the race, losing 13 points to his championship rival and critically the lead of the championship.
Yeah, Alex kind of half-heartedly went to the middle of the track to defend there, and Kian just went to the inside anyway, and that was him up to third place then. So here is a replay of the start from M. Thorne's perspective, and into turn 1 he drives clean around the outside of Aresi through turn 1, but runs wide through 2, which allows the Ferrari to come back up the inside into turn 3, and that pretty much means that Aresi gets the high ground for turn 4. And this is where Aresi appeared to run a little bit wide and then started lagging quite a lot, and that really put M. Thorne off and put him in a gravel trap, and dropped way down into 11th or 12th place. And this is the onboard start from Brandon's point of view. Just very slow. The lights went out, but just very slow reaction time, and that's kind of what we haven't really seen much this season. And there's GR Demon going for a wand off the race shotgun turn 1 as well, and once again through turn 2, so that's why he's dropped down the field as well. But yeah, we kind of expected more people to be a bit sluggish off the line, but clearly throughout this field a lot of drivers have got great reaction times to the 5 red lights going out. And now back with the action for third place then, as Alex is trying to get back past that Renault of Kian, and that will make his racing he can start to try and go back up on the gearbox of Aresi, as now Alex is in that DRS zone, and Kian defending much more than what Alex did, and now Alex is going to try to go around the outside. He's already got the position before turn 1, and that is now the Red Bull up into third place. So those two just seemingly just going past one another at the moment, and if they can do it in a good enough way, they might be able to catch up to the two up in front, but at the moment it looks like they're more costing themselves time more than anything.
Yeah, just visually it looks like they're costing each other time, but yeah, it's worth pointing out because of the slipstream on this game, because if you're in a certain differential of the car ahead's pace, so you're just around about 5/10 slower than the car ahead, due to the slipstream you'll just be able to keep up with that driver. So yeah, it's a huge advantage being slipstream, such as Clarkey, who's just behind these two, probably watching the battle, able to save fuel, and is probably looking quite good at this stage. And back to the front, and it's worth pointing out that Aresi, well, he's either closed the gap or has definitely kept it constant, because it does appear that the Ferrari driver is catching up to that Renault.
Yeah, definitely closer than what he was. Remember, Aresi had good pace relative to Nervo in the Malaysia race as well, until strategy and traffic and Aresi's last lap puncture came into effect, and that really put Nervo and Aresi out of position, as long as with Nervo's drive-through penalty as well, which probably cost him the win in that race. And now that's enabled in this man in leading the championship at the moment, but he has got the Renault of Kian coming back up the inside once again. Alex choosing not to go defensive at all this time around, and that is now Kian back up into third place. So these two drivers just swapping positions at the moment as they try to keep up with Nervo and Aresi, who look like they're just in a class of their own up front. And as Dan has just said, Clarkey is just watching from behind at the moment, and I believe Big Shot has pitted, and Alex is paused, I think, for some reason, because his car just ghosted, and that usually indicates that car's paused, and now that's put him quite a long way off the back of that Renault of Kian.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see whether he comes under threat from Clarkey here, or is able to catch back up to the Renault. But yeah, that's definitely costing a little bit of time. When he's outside of DRS range, it's hard to tell from this camera view. But yeah, the championship leader not having a great time so far. Still in P4, so he's definitely not having a bad race, and we've known with his tyre wear that he's very good usually, so he should be able to come back later in this stint. But we should see drivers into the pits and around a couple of laps if they started on their soft tyre, whereas the drivers who started outside the top 10 will be looking to go much further into the race. But back to the battle for the lead, and Aresi is getting much closer to the Renault of Nervo Tank as we head through 130R once again in towards the final chicane, and this could give the Ferrari an opportunity with DRS down the pit straight.
Yeah, we just saw on board with Aresi for a brief moment there that he was just 22 thousandths down on his fastest lap of the race so far. So his softs are doing fine at the moment, obviously being aided by that slipstream and this DRS here. And down into turn 1, not quite close enough just yet, but he is definitely much more closer to the back of that Renault gearbox. And now up through the S's we go. A very unique feature that we have at this Suzuka circuit, and up through the last part in towards the Dunlop curve we go now. And Noah seems like he's got better grip through there, through the last part of the S's up through Dunlop, and able to pull out a slight gap as we go through the first egg and now into the second one. And Aresi looks like he's pretty good on the brakes and initial turning, so these guys quicker in different parts of the track, and we just know how Nervo usually will not be frightened off the racetrack if he gets under pressure from another car. And I say that as he ran wide at the hairpin just a moment ago, but now Aresi is firmly up that gearbox and definitely in a passing position in the next couple of moments down this straight, then up towards 130R, where Alonso famously overtook Schumacher back in 2005, and no one similarly has done that so far today. Hopefully we get another stunning overtake like that very soon in this race, as we now enter that last chicane and down the curving downgrade of the circuit. Now down the pit straight in towards turn 1, and Aresi has dropped a little bit off the back off that Renault, and looks like he struggled for traction coming out of the last chicane.
Yeah, and we have now got the first of the pitters, so it's Alex decided to pit early. Interesting call from the Red Bull driver, clearly wanted to try and maybe get an undercut on Kian. It's going to see where these guys speed out, because they're going really far down by the looks of it, and this is not going to work out well for them. Alex emerging out in P15 and on a similar strategy to quite a few drivers ahead, in that he's got one more pit stop to make, and they've both gone onto a set of hard tyres, so I wonder if they're going to run 2 sets of hards or whether they'll go onto a set of mediums or softs at the end of the race. GR Demon all the way down in 14th, not been a great race for him so far. He's got a massive pack here, all battling for 10th. I think this is Jonas, RBOS, Jake and Big C, and I think a couple of the one-stoppers have managed to break away from this, so interesting to see how they'll be doing at this stage in the race. But we're going through Degnan 2 there, and once you get sort of stuck in a slipstream train, it's very difficult to find a way past, because if you get in the same slipstream and DRS down a pit straight, then you're pretty much reaching the same speed, so it's up to the guy just behind the lead of the train to try and find a way through, otherwise you're always going to be stuck. And back to the battle for lead, and it's fair to say that Aresi is dropping off Nervo tank, so for once Nervo appears to have very good tyre wear, and this is probably going to cause Aresi to respond this lap short.
And he does. He goes straight into the pit, destroying the bollard on the way in, and now Keen has stayed out as well, so both the Renaults staying out, which is an interesting call. Everyone else looks like they're coming into the pits trying to get rid of those soft tyres, so the 2 Renaults, if they're coming in on the next lap, might have to stack, which will not be good news for Kian, as the guys who are on a different tyre compound go past them down the pit straight. Now we've got RBS up the inside of Jonas into turn 1 with Aresi coming out the pit, and Aresi just about manages to rejoin in front of that, so that's crucial for him, that he doesn't get stuck in traffic like he did last time out in Malaysia, as those cars going side by side behind. That's Jake and someone in the Williams, I think that's Big C, but I might be completely wrong on that one, so don't take my word for it there. And now as they head up towards through Dunlop curve, now both of the Saubers doing a great job at the moment, but we've said that many times before in the past. God. And yep, just as I say that, Jonas has gone down a gravel trap through Degner 1, and so did Jake in the background just behind. So yeah, as long as these guys keep it on the track, and NBA definitely is looking for a good result as Alex gets past GR Demon in at that Force India, and I think that was GR Demon more letting him through than anything else. So Alex has now got himself in a clear air until he reaches that squabbling group in that feisty battle for 8th place that we've got at the moment. And Novatank has carried on again. That's an interesting call. He's got to be careful he doesn't get a puncture. Kian's done the same thing. So I wonder if they're trying to push a one-stop then.
There must be. There's no other reason why you carry on to lap 9. But this means one of them has to go on to lap 10. As I think on Beacop pitted just behind, and Aresi has caught up to Theo in an ideal location here. He'll get the DRS and will be able to fly past the minor driver. But surely now Aresi will emerge out ahead of the Renault driver. You're going to see where Nervo emerges, because he should be ahead of that massive squabble for around about P8. Because if he emerges out behind that, that's going to be hugely detrimental. As we've got an incident there between Toro Rosso and Big C. I think that was Jake. God knows what happened there. We sort of saw a brief glimpse of it as they went through turn 2, and then we just sort of picked up the crash. So hopefully we'll get a replay of that. But Alex has lost a lot of time in that, and Clark is all over the back of him now, as we've got a race control incident involving Big C and Jake under investigation. No surprises there, as it appears that Jake's race is seemingly massively ruined, and it's Big C's race is definitely compromised, as once again we head uphill in towards the hairpin. And Jonas isn't too far ahead of them, but that's now allowed RBS to almost escape from that trainer. B-Colt has left the session. I'm guessing that means he's disconnected, and once again it doesn't look like the Manor driver will be scoring any points today.
Yeah, it's been quite a tough ride for the Manor driver, and I don't think tough is actually the right word. It's been a kind of disastrous sequence for B-Colt at the moment, as finally we have got both the Renaults in the pits, actually. So thanks to that helpful little graphic in the top left, B-Colt has joined. We can see that both the Renaults in the pit, so they serviced Nervo nice and cleanly. How well are they going to service Kian in this game? Despite when the first car pits, it takes about half a minute for the crew to actually reset. So Kian will get held up in that pit stop and probably lose about 2 to 3 seconds in that, so he might well rejoin behind Alex and the 2 McLarens in terms of the guys he was racing with, as we can actually see that Aresi has actually emerged behind Nervo. But if the 2 Renaults can actually well, they managed to get to lap 9 on the softs without getting a puncture, so surely that means that they can now get to the end on these hards.
Yeah, considering they did qualify, and then you're looking at around about 11 laps on those soft tyres, so yeah, I'd definitely say it's possible for them to get to the end on those hards, as Keane has emerged out, not in a great position behind this massive squabbling train, but he hasn't lost that much time to people he was backing, such as Clark and Ali, as Clarky, very ambitious move up the inside of the hairpin. RBS is not having a lot of that, angling round the outside very nicely there, and I think that's slightly better traction, but Clark will once again get back into that slipstream and look up the inside for Spoon, and side by side, and Clarky manages to force RBS out of space, and oh my god, I think that was a Sauber touching the back of RBOS. Very weird sort of contact there. He just sort of went spinning and then almost reset, which doesn't really make a lot of sense, but nevertheless, I think that's lost him quite a lot of time. And it's not really working out too well for these guys on the one stop. Apart from NBA Rubin and Jamie and probably Theo as well, it's really not working out too well, as RBS is forced to pit on lap 10 when he was on the hard tyres. So that surely means he's also got to 2 stops, so that's absolutely disastrous for his strategy, as we head into turn 1 with Kian trying to find a way past Powell. Yeah,
so that's not worked out for Kian in terms of the traffic that he's got to deal with, as we're now on board with the race leader. NBA Rubin in the Sauber doing a great job at the moment, and seemingly not making any mistakes up at the front. And we've got Jeremy 905, the other reserve driver in the race as well, who I believe these 2 actually made contact last time out in Malaysia. It definitely was Jeremy and the Sauber. Can't remember which Sauber.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, so those 2 are currently leading the race at the moment, and now on board with M Thorne into the hairpin then, and Kian right up behind Kian, and M Thorne's recovered quite well to be that close to the back of the Renault, who seemingly has dropped off Ali at the moment. But yeah, if Kian can make those tyres last, he's going to save himself about, what, 20 odd seconds with the pit stop. So it's looking good for both Noah and Kian in terms of strategy at the moment. And because the hards are the mandatory tyre, it might not actually work out for those guys who pitted on lap 6, lap 7, lap 8.
yeah, it just be interesting to see whether they can gain a lot of time towards the end of the race when the Renaults are on very old hard tyres and they'll be on soft or medium tyres as they head through the final corner for the 11th time this race onto the start of lap 12. And F1 are trying to find a way past Kian, who might be trying to save his tyres at this point in the race, trying to avoid paddling. He defends his side line very well there and hangs on to 10th place for the time being. But yeah, it's really to see how the one stop versus the two stop works out, because we've got Resi and Nervo who effectively are battling for the lead, and we'll see a direct comparison there between the strategies. But as we head through this great first sector, absolutely love it on this game, uphill to the Dunlop curve, really difficult actually sometimes, especially in the wet as they headed towards Degner 1. M4 trying to have a look up the inside of Kian, backs out of that one, and a downhill break into Degner 2. Very, very easy to lock up there and go straight into the gravel, but none of the drivers have done it this lap. And it all seems that they just seem to be stuck in some sort of train, and no one really able to find a way past, as Messi still in P3. And where has Nervo gone? Has he dropped off the back of the Ferrari? It appears that he has. So have the Renaults almost gone into tyre sort of saving mode here and trying to make these hards last to the end of the race, and by doing that they're just not pushing as hard as the drives around.
Yeah, I mean, it would explain why Resi was able to close up on Nervo and then dropped off the back of him towards the end of the first stint, as now we've got MJ Rubin coming into the pit for his one and only stop that he will be hoping to make this afternoon, and will be going on to a set of hards. So that's 12 laps done for him on those medium tyres. Now on board with Theo, who is on the hards, and has got Alex right up behind him, now on the inside, and is now past him. So Alex now up into 4th place into turn 2. And that's pretty good for him. He is going to be next 3rd when Jamie pits. So obviously it depends how long. We know that Alex historically has been fantastic on tyre wear in many races this season. Obviously that's what got him a win in Monza. And Kian running slightly wide through the S's, which will allow M Thorne to have a possible look through Dunlop, but it's not really an overtaking spot, as we now have a replay of lap number 9, and this is the contact between Big C and Jake, and that's Big C kind of running Jake off the road. Unfortunately the contact model got involved and resulted in Jake spinning. But now back with the race leader then.
Yeah, so Jamie currently leading this Grand Prix in his Williams. Saturday is doing a pretty good job out there. Currently ahead of Resi, but I'm sure the Ferrari driver will be able to find a way past very shortly as we head into 130 on board with M4. He's trying to find a way past this Renault, and he eventually does. And it seems to have dropped off Ali and Clarky as well a fair bit. And because M4's on the same structure as these guys, he really needs to catch up, as we've now got a 20-second penalty for Big C. That's quite harsh, in my opinion, but he probably did deserve a penalty considering he has pretty much wrecked Jake's race. Anyway, down towards turn 1, and the McLaren of Clarky is up the inside of Big C, and I think that's a move done because he'll have the inside line. Surely he's got a better grip, and now, oh my god, Big C, he's hanging his nose back up the inside. They go side by side, and Big C has been involved in another incident. God knows what's happened there. He seemed to pinch Clarky on the apex there, and that has caused a bit of an incident. He's allowed Paul to catch up, and Ali and Clarky going side by side. Paul hits the back of Ali. It's all just a bit too messy right now. As I said, Clarky's lost a lot of position through that, and he's down to 8. Ali's up to 6, and Kian is just sitting behind watching all this, thinking, what on earth is happening? Like, hurry up, I'm on a different strategy here.
Yeah, so I think that was just a little bit clumsy from Big C to try and hang on in there when it looked like he pretty much lost that position. But now back with the race lead then, Gemini 95 under pressure from Aresi in the Ferrari. Gemini 95 going now defensive into 130R, and Aresi backs out of it. Can't quite go around the outside, he's not far enough ahead, and now into that last chicane, and right up behind on the gearbox of that Williams, and now through down the slope we go through the DRS activation point, now down the pit straight in towards turn 1. Jemmy going defensive once again. Aresi going towards the outside into turn 1, and Aresi is going around the outside now, and has got the position, swoops into the lead by the time they get to turn 2, and now that's Aresi up into the race lead. But it's just a real question as to how long he can make those tyres last. If he can get those to the end, then that'll be a superb drive. But I think Nervo's looking in a much better position at this stage in the race.
Well, yeah, it has to be said he's around 3 seconds or 2 seconds off the lead and doesn't have any more pit stops to make. So yeah, he is definitely looking in a good position. If he's able to get those hard tyres to the end, though, it's worth pointing out, he could come into some troubles towards the end of this Grand Prix, and if he does, then that man in Ferrari, Aresi, will be there to try and claim a second victory this season. But we go through the hairpin once again, and Nervo will be trying to dispatch of Jamie very shortly if the Williams driver doesn't come into the pits this lap, which I suspect he will, or either on the next lap to go onto the set of medium tyres. He has taken those hards now, 15 laps, and he's looking reasonably good. He's quite far ahead of that midfield scrap, and should emerge around 4 now in Kian, I suspect. But MBA really up into P10, so around about there. But as they're going to 130R, Jamie is able to stay ahead of Nervo Tank for the time being, but the Renault driver seemingly now getting a bit impatient to get past, because he knows that if he loses too much time to Aresi in this phase of the race, then this will give an opportunity to Ferrari on the 2-stop. But I think that was Jamie coming into the pits onto a set of medium tyres. And now back with Sauber in P10. He's actually looking very good here, because he's around 3 to 4 seconds behind Clarkey. But all those drivers in that train ahead have got another pit stop to make. So I think Sauber driver could be in a net P4, P5 maybe. So it's looking very good for him. And he's going to come out of the pits very close to Jamie, able to clear him. But obviously the Williams driver will be on the medium, so we'll surely find a way past the Sauber. But nevertheless, still looking good for the Sauber drivers to score some solid points there.
Yeah, both of these guys looking to score some solid points, and Super Scrub, the other reserve, obviously just hanging on to a point playing position at the moment, as that's a Big Shot going around in circles, and I think that was Big Shot just coming out of the pits, and indeed RBS is now actually waiting up. And yeah, I don't think RBS 100% knew Big Shot was there, or just completely misjudged it, and now that has resulted in Big Shot facing the wrong way. But RBS has indeed waited up for the Ferrari, and we just saw Clarkey getting a warning through the first Degner. Now into the hairpin he goes. Remember, 3 warnings and you will get a penalty. So that has been the thing that has cost Nervo quite a few race victories so far this season. And well, he'll only have himself to blame if that results in him losing the championship. Something like a corner cutting penalty can make such a big difference, especially if there is a late safety car like in Germany. So now it is lap 16, only 12, well 11, yeah 12 laps to go, including this one, 11 at the end of this one, as he now enter the final chicane on board with the McLaren driver. Can he get back ahead of that Renault of Kian, as these guys really short shifting coming out of that last chicane as they go downhill to try and lose, to try and kill the revs to get less wheel spin. As Clarkey swoops around the outside, goes very wide off the track, and that allows Kian to come back up the inside and maintain that place for now.
Yeah, it seems to be very difficult for the drivers to hang it round the outside of turn 2. We saw Empor trying to do it at the start of the race, and then unfortunately had that incident with Aresi through the F section. But yeah, it seems to be difficult for drivers, apart from obviously Aresi got past there on Jamie, but there was a huge difference in tyre grip at that stage of the race. So Clarkey in P7, maybe slightly frustrated actually, because he's lost all these positions due to that incident with Big C, and otherwise he would be ahead of Ford and probably in P4 right now. So he's probably feeling a bit frustrated at this point in the Grand Prix, but he's still in a reasonable position to score some decent points as they once again head on this sort of curved straight as they head in towards Spoon. Antoine has done a terrific job there, worth pointing out. Obviously had that lap 1 incident, fell a fair few positions, I think was down in 12, and is now up into P4, but to the battle for the lead, and Nervo has caught up to Aresi once again. So Aresi's initial pace in this stint has clearly run out, because the Renault driver is going to try and attack the Ferrari in towards turn 1. He'll have the outside line. It's already done. Aresi puts up very little resistance. Maybe he couldn't, simply because Nervo had so much more extra speed on the straight, but that is the Renault driver back up into P1. And unless a safety car comes out, I can't see anything that's going to stop him taking the race victory today.
Well, yeah, if he doesn't have a pit stop to make, and Aresi does, then he is going to take the win by some margin. Is that Renault? But things looking quite good for him at the moment. Less so for his teammate, as he's got a lot of traffic in front of him. But obviously, he might have one less stop to make. On board with Theo, who has crept his way up into the top 10 as he has done so many times this season, and is currently in 10th place on the medium tyre, as Kian still trying to fend off Clarkey at the moment, and they are definitely dropping back off the cars in front. So it definitely looks like the Renaults don't have that strong initial pace, but it's resulting in them being able to make the tyres last longer than pretty much anyone else. Which is very good news, because obviously it will cost them pit stop time less than the rest of these guys, as we now go back to the battle up at the front. Aresi has managed to hold on this lap, and with the slipstream he has got himself right back into potential passing territory, as now they come out of the last corner. Down the pit straight we go once again, and just that Renault of Novo has got fantastic traction coming out the last chicane, and is just managing to keep him in front, as we've seen so many times in this race already against Aresi. But now Clarkey is much closer to the back of Kian, and has now got a much more overspeed, and is going to have to position well before turn 1, and that is now Clarkey finally back up into 6th place, and he will now try go hunting after his teammate, which he so desperately wants to beat.
Yeah, and they've actually lost a lot of time in that battling, so Clarkey have to put in some good laps at this stage in the race. And also Ali ahead of Clarkey on track will mean that he will get preference as they head into the final pit stop window, as Aresi is very close to the back of Nervo, heading into the hairpin. The Supersport puts in the new fastest lap of the race, but I'm sure these guys up front will be able to set that as they go on to presumably now a set of softs, considering they've carried on to lap 19. So heading into Spoon once again, and Aresi just able to keep up with Nervo, and then we'll get a massive slipstream effect heading down towards 130 yard. So gained up a lot of this time that he lost through the corner. As you can see his tyre wear there, I can't see his rears, but I think it's getting very close for Aresi, needing to make a pit stop pretty soon as they head into the chicane. And getting it stopped lovely all over that apex. You can just see how these drivers are so precise and almost brilliant on the steering wheel as we go over the start finish line to start lap 20. And Aresi is staying out with Nervo, so unless he pits this lap, then is Aresi also trying to one-stop him?
I mean, it would be hard to definitely get there, as M4 is at the first of the, no, he's at the second of the guys to do stop. Alex is coming as well, which is definitely a surprise. And now we've got a load of guys in. We've got 3 cars in at least. So Alex, Thorne and Clarkey all pitting, and not going for that one-stop choice, going back onto a set of these soft tyres. And yeah, Aresi will definitely have to pit again, because his rear tyres were actually on 62 and 60%. So he is definitely not going to make it to the end of the race, and neither was B Colt. So he has just chosen to retire. He's that far back, and sees no further point in carry on. So it's another DNF to add to his massive collection of DNFs so far this season, which he hopefully will be able to turn around sooner rather than later, as we now go back up to the front. And Aresi still managing to hold on to Nervo with that slipstream, which is just pulling him along the straights like this. And surely at the end of this lap we'll see him dive off into the pit lane.
Yep, I think it's either now or never for the Ferrari, because if he stays out another lap, then he must be going for the one-stop. Nope, he does come into the pit lane, and we'll go on to a set of soft tyres, and we'll be absolutely rapid at the end of this race. but I don't know if he'd be able to gain enough time, and surely a lot of these drivers have been caught out by the Renault's one stopping today. I don't think many people are expecting that to be possible starting on the soft tyres, and I think they have pulled an absolute stroke of genius here today as Kian goes over the start-finish line. And will he come out in P2? Yes, he does. So that's crucial as well, because Resi, who is now on a fresh set of soft tyres, will need to put in some good laps, and if he gets stuck behind the Renault Kian, then it's good night to any chance of him winning this race.
Well, I don't think he's going to manage to close up what is a 20-second gap to Nervo in, well, 7 laps including this one. It's going to be a very tough ask for the Ferrari driver, unless Nervo gets a puncture or something on the last lap. But yeah, it's a Renault 1-2 at the moment, but I don't think that's going to stay a Renault 1-2 for long, as Aresi is all over the back of Kian, the first victim and the first runner that he's going to come up, across in this final stint. Oh, they're side by side into the hairpin, banging wheels on the way in, and Kian actually just lets him through, so that's probably a sensible decision, considering how much faster the Ferrari is at this stage, and Kian's now got the Williams of Gemini 5 to worry about.
Yeah, so Jamie in some sequence has managed to get past the Sauber. I don't know if we saw that earlier in the race, but he's currently up in P4 and looking very strong at this point in the race. Didn't lose a lot of time to Aresi during that stint of the race. So very strong pace from the Williams, even if he was on a slightly softer compound, as we head into the chicane for the 21st time. And the Williams driver will have slipstream and DRS down the pit straight, so will surely have a great opportunity here to get past the Renault.
And let's see then, the DRS letterbox is wide open then for the Williams, now down into turn 1. Can't quite get close enough just yet as Alex sets the fastest. What a great camera shot. Alex sets the fastest lap. That's now beaten by Mthorn. So those two trying to catch up to 5th place to try and salvage some more championship points. It's not looking good for Alex to try and maintain the lead of the championship unless something bizarre happens in the remaining 5.5 laps of this race. But you've got to say that Nervo has got this in the bag with a 21-second lead over his teammate in 3rd, and Aresi not that much further up in front. So yeah, it's as Dan said earlier on, it's a kind of a masterstroke of genius from the two Renault drivers, and definitely unexpected from where we're sitting at the moment. And I don't think anyone else on the grid would have expected that.
No, I definitely don't think many drivers thought of doing that, especially Alex. I mean, we know he's renowned for good tyre wear, but it seemingly wasn't even on his radar as well. I don't think many people, well, obviously he was able to pull off that great one-stop back in Malaysia by having great tyre wear, but also great pace throughout the race. And he just didn't think it was possible, and that's why he didn't go for it. But focusing on the battle for P3 at this point in the race, the final step on the podium, and it's between Kian and Jamie. Obviously Renault edging more and more closer towards that Constructors' Championship, and if they get a double podium today, that'll take them very close to the next time out in USA. But heading down towards turn 1, and the Williams driver has got DRS, but is seemingly not able to get close enough to that Renault to make a move into turn 1, which is very bizarre. We have got a replay of Clarky here on lap 22 up the inside. He made a similar maneuver on another driver early on in the race. I can't remember who was actually in RBOS actually, but Theo was able to hold it round the outside, unfazed by the McLaren. And now heading in towards Spoon, Clarky has the inside line, and oh my god, well, Theo just has not left enough space on the apex there, and that's an unfortunate incident. And Clarky's race has just gone from bad to worse,
especially since he's on the soft tyres as well, so that's going to really hurt his tyre wear come the end of the race. And Aresi's got that gap down to 17 seconds, but yeah, it's going to be very unlikely that he's going to be able to close it up in the remaining 4 laps of the race. As Gemini 5 still very close to the back of Kian, but can't find a way past just yet. And yeah, I think that was just Theo just didn't leave enough room on the apex for Clarky there, and I think he kind of had clear sight that he was close enough, as Gemini 5 was definitely close enough for a try for an attempt at an overtake on Kian. as long as he gets good enough traction. But once again, that Renault's got superb drive coming off the last corner. And now down the pit straight we go. Kian has to go defensive this time around. And Jeremy 905 has not got good enough straight line speed to try and hold it. And now they're side by side through turn 1 and turn 2. And can they hold on the exit? And Kian's still ahead just for now. But now Jeremy 905 goes around the outside, of turn 1 and 2 and gets the inside for the S section. And that is the reserve driver up into a podium position, and it's just a matter of whether or not he can pull away in these remaining 3.5 laps.
Yeah, what a move round the outside of turn 1, hold it for turn 2, and that is simply incredible. Some mediums that are, well, still looking pretty good at this stage, but have definitely lost their initial grip. But Kian is still relatively close to the Williams driver, so as long as he stays close throughout Spoon and down the back straight, he will maybe have an opportunity down in towards turn 1, as Alex is getting very close to the back of this train, but looking to the lead, and Nervo is looking very, very good out in front. A commanding gap to Aresi, and providing anything, surely nothing can go wrong now for the Renault driver.
Well, I think the only threat to Nova at the moment will be the possibility of a punctures. Alex is now right up behind NBA Rubin. He's actually gone past and kind of forced him wide. That's kind of the overtakes that we want to see from Alex. If we want to see if he wants this championship, we need to see that aggression for Alex to know that he wants this championship win. And he has been relatively cautious when it's come to racing before in the past, but he really needed to make that move to try and get up onto the podium. There's now Ali's trying to go around the outside of M Thorn and pull off the same trick Jamie did just a lap or so ago, and now it looks like he is going to pull it off. Now they're going to go side by side through the S's, and Thorn still holding it around now, is actually well in front through the rest of the S section. And yeah, so Alex pulling off a great move on the Sauber of NBA Rubin, and just running him just gently out of road so he couldn't turn in enough to try and keep it on the inside for the second part of the chicane. And Kian is doing a superb job at the moment to hold on to the back of that Williams.
Yeah, you're definitely right in saying we haven't seen much of that from Alex this season. It's fair to say he's probably played it very tactically throughout this season, and that's why he's in the position he is as the championship leader. But I don't think he really even Suzuka as a championship leader, because he's definitely going to lose a fair amount of points to Nervo today. But yeah, crucial for Alex to get up to P5. We'll have an opportunity here on the final couple of laps to try and get a podium, because these drivers ahead on some rather worn tyres will definitely be susceptible to the Red Bull, as Kian goes to the outside of the final chicane. The Williams driver defends well though, but this is going to give the Renault an opportunity down in towards turn 1. Kian will get the slipstream, get the DRS. Will Jamie defend the inside line? I would if I was him, because Kian is going to have difficulty going to the outside as the side by side, and Kian is going to try and hold it round the outside. Jamie will go back up the inside, but can Kian get better traction? No, he doesn't. Loses it slightly off the curve, and the Williams driver holds on to P3 for the time being.
Yeah, that's... oh, okay. And Thorn has had another predicament in this race, which has resulted in him not being facing the right way 100%. So that was with Ali. So they've had another they've had another scrap that's resulted in Thorn having a half spin, as we are now back with the race leader, and now watching his teammate going into the hairpin. No locking of the I say locking of the brakes, as the spectator cam does famously lock up their brakes, but they might not actually be locking up the brakes on their screen. But still, no running wide, no mistakes for Kian at the moment. And this slipstream, Jeremy's literally just pulling Kian along at this stage in the race, and that is not helping Alex at the moment, as he is really got to try and close up as much as possible to the back of that Renault to try and pass him. But with the slipstream benefit that Kian is getting off the back of Jamie, it's going to be very hard to do that in the dying moments of this race.
Yep, and they go round the chicane downhill for the penultimate time here in Suzuka, and it appears to be that Alex has got the best drive heading down the pitch straight, but Keane will have slipstream and DRS off Jamie. It's going to be very difficult for the Red Bull to make a move as the Renault goes to the outside of turn 1. Can he hold it round the outside of there? No, Jamie's run deep. Keane has got the switchback. That's a brilliant move, and that puts the Renault driver up into P3. And Jamie's down into P4, has possibly lost a podium on the final lap. There is obviously the possibility of some penalties at the end of this race, but going uphill into the Dunlop curve, there's only one opportunity for the Williams driver, and that is down into 1/3 PR. But Alex is looking very feisty on this final lap, because he knows that these points could be crucial when we get towards Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, every point matters in this championship, and we've seen that very much so in the last couple of races. Even if Nova did have a 58-point lead, now Alex is leading it by 7 points. So, yeah, coming into this race at least. Whether it'll be that way come the end of it, well, find out in just a couple of moments, as Jamie is not giving up on that 3rd place at the moment. And now as they go through Spoon Curve, it's going to be Jamie who has the slipstream and the run towards 130R, as No Tank's already won the race. That's how far ahead he's been throughout this race. And now Alex can he have a look at Jamie at any point during this last couple of corners? He's right there in the slipstream, and Jamie goes defensive to cover it off. Can he get a good enough run out of the last corner? No, he can't. It's going to be a double podium for Renault, only their 2nd of the season, and it's going to be 3rd for Keane, 4th for Jamie, 5th for Alex in the end. And NBA Rubin coming home a superb job for the Sauber in 6th place. Ali comes home over the line in 7th place, and Thorne, well, he's had a lot of bad luck this afternoon, and comes home across the line in 8th place. And Big C collects yet more points for his championship challenge in trying to break into the top 10. And no, actually, scrap what I just said. He had some penalties which have resulted in him dropping out the points. So Clarkey, even though we saw him smashing his car up to pieces over the line, he gets the final point, and Jonas tries to do the same but can't quite do it before the AI takes over. So that's Jonas across the line in 12th place, fails to score any points once again. The Sauber as Big Shot, after that spin and collision with RBS, comes over the line in 13th place, and he's had a quiet race, that's for sure, apart from that spin. And I actually forgot who was in the race.
Yep, and now we've got a replay of the final lap. So on board with the Renault, he goes to the outside. It's been very difficult for him to hang it around the outside of there, but the Williams driver just runs deep, and there's just a lapse of judgment, and that's a critical mistake that he just can't afford to make in AOR. And Keane up into P3 and salvages the podium on that very good strategy. This is M4 now. So the difference is where we saw him spin, but not really. There was no reason why. So Ali goes past into towards turn 1, and then he just clumps the curb, clumps the back of Ali, and that forces it into a hard spin. And yeah, no fault for Ali at all. Just Hasho making a simple mistake there.
So it's Nervo then who takes a dominant win here in Japan to take back the lead of the championship, 16 seconds ahead of Aresi, including a 3-second penalty that Aresi picked up in the race. With the brilliant strategy of both the Renaults, they get a double podium. Keane in 3rd place. 4th is Jeremy Nananfai, just missing out on a podium, and Alex comes across the line in 5th place. NBA Rubin ended up only a second behind them, so it was a great drive from the Sauber driver to end up in 6th place. Ali in 7th, Thorne in 8th, and Theo in 9th, and Clarkey rounding out the top 10. Big C missing out on a points paying position with his 22nd time penalty. Jonas in 12th, Big Shot in 13th, RBOS in 14th place, and he was the last runner on the lead lap. Jake was the first of the lap runners, followed by Super Scrub and GR Demon, who had a reality check after his podium in Malaysia. So Noah takes back the lead of the Drivers' Championship then by 8 points over Alex. Aresi moves back ahead of Thorne for that battle for 3rd, and Ali now moves back up into 6th place ahead of Big Shot and RBOS, and Clarkey and Theo both round out the top 10. Then Big C and Dan both tied on 62 points, and just in play in 13th on 47. Then it's GR Demon and the 2 Saubers swap position with NBA Ruben's strong result here. He moves ahead of his teammate. Mayhem Madness still in 17th place. B-Colt still failing to score any points at all in 18th, B-Mew in 19th, Numa in 20th, and Jake in 21st.
So in the Constructors' Championship, Renault get more and more closer to that title, now 111 points ahead of Red Bull. Ferrari leapfrog Haas after Aresi's podium today, with McLaren staying 5th. Force India looked a bit good for 6th, with Manor in 7th, Williams 8th, Mercedes 9th, Sauber 10th, and Toro Rosso rounding out the Constructors' table.
Alright, so now it is time for the interviews, and the first man we have got with us is Kian, who managed to score his 3rd podium of the season with a brilliant strategy for both him and his teammate. But Kian, you had to fight for it against Gemini 905 in the closing stages of the race, but it must be a pretty satisfying feeling to come 3rd in the end.
Utter satisfaction to come out in 3rd after that race. You know, soft, hard. It definitely wasn't the typical strategy. It wasn't the one everyone was doing. It's one that me and Nervo had prepared during the week. We had to change the setup a bit for it. It was a bit risky, but it's just so satisfying to see it pay off with a 1-3 for the team. You know, he really needs that win for the Drivers' Championship, and it helps us in the Team Championship as well. But yeah, just to pull off something so different to everyone else and to make it work was so satisfying. The battle with Jamie in the end, he was on the medium tyres. You know, when he overtook me with that beautiful move around the outside, I must say it was a fantastic move. I tried it myself. It didn't quite work on the next lap. But to get that switch back there and hold it onto the last lap on those players and running out of fuel over the line, it was just, we were delighted after that race.
USA will be your first opportunity to clinch the Constructors' Championship as you move 111 points clear of Red Bull. Are you looking to wrap it up right away, or is the focus shifting onto locking up 5th in the Drivers' Championship?
Well, it'd be nice to wrap it up, but you know, we have a massive gap now with so few rounds remaining. It looks like we're going to win it, but you know, freak things can happen, so it's just good to get it done and over with. Saying that, we don't really mind which round it is wrapped up, we just want to get it wrapped up because, you know, it's a great achievement to win the championship in such a competitive field like this. In the Drivers, well, obviously in every race you're trying to get as many points because that contributes to both championships, but top 5 would be a great achievement. I know there's a lot of good drivers behind me. I know myself, just personally, I'm going to find it very hard to prepare for the last few rounds, but I'll give it my best shot, and hopefully I can finish top 5.
Your teammate at the moment is in quite the battle with Alex for the win of the Drivers' Championship at the moment. Are you going to be playing any particular role in trying to help Nova Tank in the final 4 races?
As I mentioned there, I'm going to find it hard to find that much time to prepare for the last few rounds. But I know Nervo, you know, I've become good friends with Nervo over the last couple of years. I want to help him win that championship. So as usual, I'll try to figure out the strategy. He'll know the strategy. And, you know, on track, I never like to make it easy for anyone. So I won't make it easy on Alex, and I won't make it easy on anyone else. You know, if the situation arises where I have to let Nervo through, I will. But yeah, as far as treating Alex, I won't give him any especially harsh treatment more than anyone else, because I don't look to make it easy on anyone else. But yeah, I'll do as much as I can strategy-wise, especially to help Nervo clinch his 3rd championship.
Alright, thank you very much. Next up with us, we have got Ali K, who was back into the points today with a strong P7, which must feel nice given the recent dip in results outside of Monza.
Yeah, it's nice to be back in the points. It's been a while, but yeah, to finally get some more points and keep the championship total ticking over, it's pretty good. I still have a hope of something in the championship, I guess, but to actually be in the points and actually enjoy a race for the first time in a while, yeah, it was very, very nice.
We saw in qualifying today that the top 8 were separated by less than 2.5 tenths. The grid often this season has been quite close, and today was no different. Just how difficult is it to consistently score good results?
Well, I think my own results have shown how difficult it is to consistently score good results. I mean, like, one week I'm challenging for pole and the next week I'm struggling to get in the top 10. Everyone is so close that it's very, very easy to one week you do no practice and you're right at towards the back of the grid. So it's good to be competing against people that are so quick, and it drives you to be as good as you can. So yeah, it's definitely a nice thing in the league for sure.
You're in a close battle at the moment with Big Shot and RBS for 6th in the Drivers' Championship, with just 2 points separating the 3 of you. How do you feel about your chances with the 4 remaining tracks?
Well, I feel like I have pretty equal pace to them, so yeah, it'd be nice to beat them, and I think beating them would actually, for a pretty average season that I've been having, it would be something meaningful to take away from it, having a top 6 or a top 5 result at the end of it.
Alright, that's it then for the Japanese Grand Prix. Join us next time out in USA as the season draws to a close. Thank you guys for watching, have a good day, and goodbye.